Welcome back to the campfire for another adventure from the Evensong Adventurers Guild. Once more, let us introduce our heroes and villains. First of all, we have Astrid Airsong, an acrobat extraordinaire with wooden prosthetic legs. She makes a jolly figure and is always the life of the party, alongside her demonic sword, Derek, who once had a home inside a stone. Then we have Delphine, a sorceress skilled in the healing arts, the one who keeps the party on track despite their tendencies to wander off and create chaos. Her level-headedness is quite the asset despite her snarky nature. Next is the indomitable Octavia, a skilled swordswoman who fights with her blade Deliverance and a shield held together by multiple layers of duct tape. She adds stubbornness and energy to the group and knows how to take a hit for her friends. After that is Dexter Darkfang, a dapper individual who left a life of crime to become a private eye and now lends their services to the guild, despite being well past his prime. The last of our heroes is Deus Ex Machina, Prince of the Realm, son of the currently kidnapped King Primus, and an individual of sword and sorcery, studying chronomancy because of a doppelganger saving their lives on multiple occasions, whom he is believed to be his future self. At the head of a dastardly scheme, however, is the notorious Alphonse Dubois, inventor, ex-dungeon architect, and current Lord of Dark Snow, a town filled with thugs and warring gangs. In his dungeon lives King Primus, awaiting rescue or release. Alphonse's daughter Alice, however, finds herself in the midst of training by the Guild of Harpers and other unseen forces who seek to turn her into a living weapon. Primus, in torn, ragged garments from the ordeal of his capture, sat in the stinking cell, his greying hair knotted from the lack of care. The click-clack of boots on the staircase could only be his tormentor visiting again. As the now familiar face of Alphonse Dubois appeared at his cell door, Primus let out a raucous cough.
You again?
He muttered. I'm afraid so, Your Majesty, Alphonse offered. I have some news you might find interesting.
If you must torment me, be out with it and leave me be, cretin,
rasped Primus in response. No, that's no way for a guest to behave, Alphonse tutted. I just wanted you to know that your pitiful excuse of an army was intercepted by some of the local gangs while they were marshalling, and won't be making their way back here any time soon, in case you had any thoughts of rescue. Alphonse took a step closer to the bars, his blue eyes meeting Primus's. They know the price. Any less, and my mercy will start running thin. Primus spat at him.
You wretch! You'll not get away with this. The kingdom remembers.
I'm sure it does. Alphonse mused. For now, eat up. You'll need your strength for what's coming. And he walked away into the darkness, leaving the king alone. Meanwhile, in Meowstoke, the wizard Meowlin was telling them about their old friend Arthur, who they'd accidentally turned into a moth permanently. Upon seeing Astrid's blade Derek, the wizard said,
Could it be? No, surely not.
What's up? Quizzed Delphine.
That sword looks a lot like a sword my friend Arthur pulled from a stone once. But it can't be, because I lost it while looking for mice to eat in a cavern before Arthur was mothificated.
A cavern, you say? Poked Octavia.
Yes, it is I, foolish mortal. Derek, the sword of legends, armament of the lost king, and sword in the stone.
Derek burst out, his mighty eye blinking rapidly.
Truly? I was hoping you were lost for good. You're a mighty pain in the ass, if I remember rightly.
Meowlin retorted.
You were the annoying one. What kind of idiot manages to lose a magic sword? Fool!
The wizard could only shrug in response. As they talked, the giant Mothman of Arthur descended from the sky. Beside them, a gigantic fluttering cloud of tiny moths, blackening out the moon. As the sky grew darker, they all collectively looked upwards at the twisted form of Arthur, giant eyes and marvelous hypnotic brown wings. He shot forth a supersonic scream that deafened them all as they put their hands to their ears. "What's that?" Octavia shouted, but no one could hear her over the scream. Just as their eardrums started to bleed, the scream subsided, and a cloud of moths bundled into them. Delphine opened her mouth to say something, but the moths quickly filled it, and she found herself choking. While the others started to panic, Deus realized he had to concentrate, closed his eyes, and sought deep within. There, at his core, he found it, a pearl of wisdom, a shocking gem. He clapped his hands together, and a sonic boom emerged, knocking his friends open, tearing over boxes and crates, and shredding the moths around him and inside Delphine's mouth. Delphine gagged in response, spitting out the dead moths.
Arthur! He is a lot bigger than I last remember. He must be coming for revenge.
Meowlin cried, and dashed for cover. Others screeched and sent a shower of moths after the cat. He flapped his wings, beat after beat. He was making a hurricane. Dexter and Deus were blown back by the force of the gust and tumbled away into the side of a building. Octavia had her shield raised and managed to withstand the force of the wind, while Astrid was used to the perils of the sky, bending back and cartwheeling into the gale to gain momentum. The giant moth was surprised as she slingshot herself round and kicked it in the temples with both feet, before gracefully flipping to the ground as the gale subsided and the creature fell to the floor. Delphine took advantage of the opportunity and sent forth a burst of flame from her fingertips, scorching its wing as it made a hideous screech. Arthur managed to pull himself back into the air in time to get his wing slashed through by Dexter's rapier. It slapped him back harshly as he tumbled backwards with a groan.
The wings! Aim for the wings!
Dexter shouted in the maelstrom. Delphine, staggering, responded with a bright flare that scorched its side, but the Mothman kept on coming. With a screech it dived, and the force of the sonic blast smashed Octavia backwards into Delphine. From a distance, they could hear panicked meowing. Dexter pushed himself to his feet.
Astrid, hold them off. I'm going after Meowlin.
Astrid nodded in response. She braced herself, drawing Derek to his full length. The red eye glittered, seeing his old owner's twisted form. Its eye widened, reaching out as if to grasp it. Astrid leapt forward, blade in hand, step by step, pushing through the gale of wind. She jumped, and the beast came to meet her. The blade punctured its chest, and it flowed crashing into the ground.
How does it feel, Arthur, to be back where you belong?
Derek cried, and a bright light emerged from Derek.
Freedom at last!
He screeched. Astrid shielded her eyes as the others were blinded or knocked cold. When the light faded, a dull sword was left, and a jagged stone, light, dim, and dull, and the moth was left on the floor dead, with the small body of a demon beside it. Astrid left, panting, on the floor, staring at the impish form. "Derek?" she asked. The creature turned at their name, long horns crowning their head, and a singular piercing red eye staring at her above its unhinged jaw.
Thank you, Astrid. I'm sure Asmodeus will offer you a boon for your service. Now, I'll see you later. I have infernal matters to attend to.
The demon spoke, and with a puff of smoke, an unholy screech, and a blackened flame, he disappeared into the void, leaving Astrid and the empty sword behind. Meanwhile, Dexter was in hot pursuit of Meowlin, following the cloud of moths, wanting to finish the job. Despite his elderly form, he was still nimble. He rounded the corner and came face to face with a cloud of moths. Slashing out with his rapier, he cut himself a path to the prone form of the cat. The wizard's hat had fallen off from his head, his throat covered in scratches from trying to claw the moths out of their throat. It appeared he was too late. He knelt down and cradled the poor cat's form. The remaining moths started to swarm him, and he lashed out, cut by cut.
Not today!
A blast of flame burst apart the swarm, and he turned to see Deus and Delphine behind him.
Thank you.
He motioned to the cat, and Delphine rushed to its side. She searched deep, calling upon her ancestors to save this poor creature. With each pulse of light that came from her hands, the cat's mouth spluttered a bundle of moths, and the scratches began to heal. The cat spluttered out.
Ah! In a bowl! Oh, what are you looking at?
The Barty could only laugh in response, as they carried the injured cat back to the others. Seeing the corpse of Arthur, he shed a tear, placed a paw on the sword and the stone.
The sword waits here for a new king now. Perhaps one more deserving of it. You have my thanks. I have no need for a castle. Not again. My life is a gift enough. I will give you rescue to the king now, to the best of my abilities.
In the darkness, Alphonse de Bois gloated as the army struggled in the streets against robot soldiers and gang members alike. They could not breach his defenses. His daughter Alice, at the end of her training, stealth suit equipped with the eldest friend behind her, moved into the Church of Masks for her final test. And so, we end another adventurer of the Evensong Adventurers Guild, and I hope to find you once again by the campfire next time. Thank you.